Suzanne Lyons here, and welcome back. This is tip number 4, and it is Thursday. Oh my gosh, already. We are going into, like I said, tip number 4 on pitching yourself and your projects. And as I promised you, I have got a friend, colleague, Alethea Root. I am so excited to. She's one of the queens of pitches, as far as I'm concerned. She's actually taught me a few things. She's been a student of mine in my indie film producing class, but she's just so good at this aspect of what we're going to talk about today that I invited her. What today's pitch is about is creating a relationship. This is one of my favorites because I think it's one of the most important and essential tools and distinctions to really learn and master. In fact, in Flash Forward, I spend a lot of time on it. And in fact, for those of you who need information about Flash Forward, I just want to remind you again, the course is coming up starting October 22nd, and flashforwardhollywood.com for more information on that program. But what I do on the Sunday morning part of that program is I spend a big chunk of time on relationship because I think it's missing. And I want to talk to you today because I know you are, as far as I'm concerned, a master of relationship, and I think that's why you were able to be so successful at, once you made that decision to do a movie, next thing I know I'm hearing from her saying, hey, I made the movie. I'm in editing, and I'm going, what? It's like, and she just moved like wildfire. And a lot of it, I think, is because of your relationships. And I don't think people realize how extremely important it is. So why is that? Why can't we just, mail off a script or, give somebody our headshot or send our composer reel? What is it about relationships that has that distinction and tool be so essential in this industry and probably in every industry in life, to tell you the truth? So I'm going to have you, Alethea, take over. And you can address, then directly if you want. I mean, however you want to do this. I just want to show you that nice little postcard again. It's such a fun movie. Like I said, that's won so many great awards. So, yes.
So I think relationships in Hollywood is important because we work with our friends and we have the ability to hire our friends. And there's so many people in this industry who can do what I do or can do what George does. But I want to work with my friends because I can, because I'm doing the hiring. And it's so intense to make a movie that you have to be able to get along with these people. It's not a 9-to-5 job. And as the producer director, I'm doing most of the hiring, so it's important that I am friends with those people,
right? And
that I have a real connection with them because there's just so many applicants for each job that you have to set yourself apart from every single person, and then you have to develop a relationship because you called me because we're friends.
Yeah.
I mean, first we worked together.
That's true.
First I took a class from you, and then after the class we had drinks.
Yes,
and
that's right. I remember that class. We all had drinks. I think after each one of the classes.
That group of people who had drinks formed a really strong bond. And we were just talking about life in general and now that we've taken this class, let's get to know each other. What do you do? God. And one of those people, Bobby, he became my editor.
No way.
On my feature film. And then we co-directed a web series together.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all from that class. And all from having a drink afterwards. I'm not promoting alcohol, but...
Well, I do promote alcohol all the time. But you're right. It's so funny that you mentioned that because I remember afterwards... Oh my God, Alethea. I remember after that class, it was a Sunday night, we had finished, we'd all worked really hard, and then I said, who's staying for a drink? It was at the Enfield Hotel, remember? Yeah. And there was about 7 or 8 of us, stayed, of the 30-some people in the class, and I remember at the end of it driving home thinking, the people who didn't stay were crazy, because we had the best freaking night. We shut down the bar, and we didn't talk about film at all. We talked about everything and had fun, just plain fun, and I thought, wow, that was serious bonding.
It was. And after that group of people, they all got together at my house a month later.
No way.
And we all went around the room and we said what we could offer to the group and what we wanted from the group. And I wanted to direct a feature film, and
you said that publicly.
And I said that publicly, and I requested, and then that's when Bobby said, I'm also an editor, which I didn't know from the class.
No.
And I said, okay, editor, let's get together.
Wow.
And I'm actually going to Bobby's after this.
Oh, this is so cool. I hope you guys are listening really carefully. This is so good. And now what happened, I just want to get to the other part of the relationship, element too, is because what I noticed, and you probably noticed when you told people that you were going out to produce and direct a movie, did you have people saying, oh my gosh, Alethea, you don't know me, but I heard you're directing and producing a movie. Here's my headshot. Oh, here's my composer reel. I'm a great DP. I've got a script for your next next one, did you notice that?
Yes, but like you said, we went in pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's true.
But anytime you say that you're a producer or director, then you're going to get kind of that response.
Exactly. And what I'd like to do is put an end to that.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we do in Flash Forward is I do try to put an end to that. In fact, I even created a relationship seminar where for 6 weeks of the seminar you're not allowed to talk about your career because I'm so into, let's create a little bit of relationship first. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I was born, you know, in the Miramichi, New Brunswick, and, you know, back when, whatever, you know, like Little House on the Prairie. I don't say go back to your whole childhood. I'm just saying a little bit of maybe something in common.
Yeah.
Maybe you're acknowledging the person when you walk into the office, and you're something you notice on the table that you chat about, that they, you know, like skiing or whatever, that you've seen the pictures on the wall, or that you've got something else in common with them. Or the other thing I noticed too is if you've got something that you're passionate about with your project. I remember teaching at the Learning Annex one night, and this guy was going on and pitching his baseball movie and putting us to sleep. And finally at the end I said, stop, you know, tell us something personal. And he went, oh my God. And then he started sharing about how he had every baseball card that was ever printed. He had a trunk since the time he was 4 years old, that he went to every game with his dad. I mean, he started sharing where we were like in tears. And then he pitched it again, and we were at the edge of our seat. But all of a sudden, that little personal connection was enough to create that little bit of relationship. And I don't think we realize how it doesn't have to be a long thing, just a little bit of creating a relationship before you jump into, hey, let me pitch. Oh, here's my headshot. Oh, here's whatever. Yeah. And I just want to get your take on that.
Well, I also think it's very important when you're meeting someone, say you're at like a networking event, to actually ask questions about the other person so that you can see what their needs are. So if we know that you're a producer, instead of me saying, hey, I'm a director and I have this script, I would maybe say, well, what kind of projects are you working on?
Right.
And so I would get a sense of who you are. So if something that I had fit what you were looking for, then I could lead with that.
Oh my God. See, it's not rocket science, guys. Go ahead.
If I had a drama and you're like, oh, right now I'm doing all comedies, I'd be like, oh, that's so amazing. I can't wait to see them. And then I know that I don't have anything for you, so I have no reason to pitch to you. And I think it's okay to let people know, like, oh, I am a director. Oh, you're a producer.
Of course. Yeah.
But before I tell you what I want, I have to find out what you're looking for, if you're even looking for something.
Right.
You know, like when people send emails or like, I'm a composer, it's like, thank you very much, I'm not looking for a composer. And sometimes that can get annoying if you're flooded, especially if you put an ad out on Craigslist or Mandy or any of those things, and you say, I want a DP, and a composer gets back to you and you're like, I'm asking for a DP. So don't bother me, because I'm not going to keep your information.
Right.
I'm not going to be triggered. Right. As the producer, I know exactly what I need, and I think you should respect that.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And sometimes even finding a common denominator, like maybe, for example, I'm a DP or I'm a composer, but maybe there's somebody that I know who knows you.
Yeah.
You know, like when you do up your map of relationship, which we've worked on in other YouTube series and in my newsletters as well, that if I can say, oh my gosh, you know, I've worked with Suzanne, and I know that she knows Alethea, who I see on Craigslist is looking for a DP. You know what? Let me call Suzanne and see if it's okay to use her name, and then call Alethea and say, hey, it's like find something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just give it a little bit of thought. And with the American film market coming up, and where are we now? Less than a month, guys. That's something you really want to start to think of too. Is you're not just going to be going up and handing off your CD or your DVD or your headshot or your script or whatever. You want to be able to create some relationship.
Yeah.
So start to look at ways of doing that, whether it's acknowledgement or common denominator or your personal interest in it or whatever.
And also in relationships, like if you are going to a big event like AFM or any event, and you don't necessarily know everyone in the room, I think it's really helpful if you want to meet someone to go, like if Suzanne's leading a workshop, to be like, Suzanne, who do you think I should meet in this room?
Got it.
And then have you introduce me, because that is a huge icebreaker.
Brilliant.
I was at Bennington alumni event. I went to Bennington, and the woman who was running it, I had to go, and I'm like, I haven't made enough connections tonight. And I went up to her, I'm like, who should I meet in this room?
Wow.
And she said, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, writers. I'm like looking for my next script. And so she introduced me to Nathan, who wrote Moon.
Got it.
And he is a Bennington
Oh, love
alumni.
that.
So then
Love
I
that movie.
started,
Yeah.
So then I started a relationship with Nathan.
Got it.
You know, but I didn't have to pitch myself. I let somebody else pitch me.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. I had not written that one. I had not thought of that. My God, didn't I say? She's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so good. Oh, Alethea, thank you. Oh boy. Any final little words of wisdom that I need to hear? This is so good. Oh,
once
boy.
you form a relationship,
Yes.
to keep the relationship.
Yeah.
And what I do, I normally get along with everyone I'm forming a relationship with, but sometimes just to call and say, hey, I appreciate you, I'm thinking of you, and I love you, or, you know, thank you for that tip you taught me, or thank you for that dinner. And just to have a phone call that has nothing to do with requesting anything,
Oh, nice.
but just to send an email saying, thank you, I appreciate you, I'm so glad you're in my life. I feel like that, while it's true, it has to come from the heart, but it also helps to maintain a relationship. And then often that person will call you back and say, hey, I have this thing I want you to look at, or hey, I have this job maybe you'd be interested in. So just to keep the relationship, if you're going to personalize it, keep it personal.
And that would set you apart right there, Althea, because that is just not done. That is just not done in this town. So that in itself would set you apart, so that come time when somebody's looking for a director, they're going to put you on their list to call you. Because it's memorable. It's an ongoing relationship. It's what's done in every other business on our planet, on planet Earth. It is the common thing that is done on a day-to-day basis. People have lives and have relationships and talk about their kids and their skiing and their sports and their, everything. It's just part of life, but we don't do it as much in the industry as they do everywhere. And that's what I wanted to bring Alethea in today, is because she's so brilliant at that. And I just want to acknowledge you for that, and I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Today. This has been such a joy. And I have another treat for you. Tip number 5, which is next Tuesday. I've got Clay Storthus coming in, and he's a wonderful actor. He's been involved in all kinds of different acting, film, TV, and commercial, but mostly now focusing in New York. He lives in New York. He's focusing on theater, and he's also an entrepreneur. He's a great, wonderful business, and that's it. So have a great weekend. I guess what I would just say is start to look at that for the homework over the weekend, is creating relationships and who you want to create relationships with, and how you could go about doing that. That's not the way that we ordinarily do it. It's not just here's my headshot. How can you create the relationships that are long lasting? Okay, so think about that over the weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. And that's it. I'm Suzanne Lyons, and thanks once again for joining me, and thank you for coming. That's it. All right, I'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.